the 54th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the last week of July 2011. This episode is titled Permissions Infographic. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, cloud computing experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me is co-host, Mr. MVP, Mr. Infographic himself, Justin Elston. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for calling me by my proper title.
Are you like some sort of lord or
I am an overlord.
Magistrate that you have to say it every time?
Yes.
Excellent. So we have an agenda today. We do. Talking about, we have two infographics and some rolling. So we're going to talk about role-based. We're going to talk about web-based startup tools. Web and business tool startups use.
Right.
Same sort of
thing. Well, we'll talk about it.
We got our hands on a Chromebook.
We did.
We got one here in the office. We have some opinions. And we have some DF11 news, or Dreamforce 11.
Hashtag DF11.
Yes, if we could only hashtag our words. I've tried to hashtag in my emails.
I almost hashtagged DF11 in the Wave, and it didn't work.
In the Google Wave. Nice. All right, so first up, some news. This was actually, I don't think this is last week's news.
Last week's news. Old news, but still worth talking about.
Well, read us through it. So this is a read-write cloud story.
Read-write cloud. They stealthily signed up for a product called Rolebase, which you can go to their website. I'm assuming it's rolebase.com. I don't have it in front of me. And one of the things that they do is they will migrate a Force.com application from being hosted on Salesforce.com to Rolebase. Some caveats, big ones. So
it's using the title is using Rolebase to migrate Force.com apps elsewhere, a hands-on report.
Right. So they do it. They will do it to two places. They will put it on their Rolebase.com hosted cloud service. They will put it on.
Is it bad that I don't even know what Rolebase is or never heard of it?
Yeah, it's probably bad that you've never heard of it.
Right.
But we're talking about it anyway. I guess you have three options. So you can put it on their hosted cloud service. You can put it on the Rolebase private cloud, or you can then take it off of the cloud and install it and deploy it on either your own in-house servers or a third-party hosting service for hardware.
So it's a migration tool away from Force.com.
Away from Salesforce and Force.com with some super serious caveats.
And so let's talk about that for a second. I think there's been an industry thing about, buy-in or tie-in to these applications, and I would say that Salesforce does a pretty good job. I mean, yes, you can't do anything with Apex, right, or triggers or validation rules or workflows or approval processes. All these things are kind of, once you build them in Salesforce, they don't come out. But that's basically every system in the world. What you can get out is the data, and Salesforce does a very good job letting you get your data out. Not only are there third-party tools that'll do it, but they'll give you an extract. I think if you're enterprise and above, they'll give you an extract weekly that you can just put, here's all your data and go for it.
So what the article starts off as saying is a comment that they regularly hear about Salesforce.com users or potential users are concerns around the price and lack of flexibility around pricing of the solution. So, and that's where they started off, because Rolebase is far cheaper. I think it's like $30 a month or something like that. So that's where they start off. And
by the way, if you buy enough of Salesforce, you can get some really good prices.
Yeah, if you buy enough,
I have a first-hand knowledge to know that if you buy, 30,000 licenses, you can get some pretty deep discounts. Just
pretty
saying.
Good stuff. So someone who wants to do some development on Force.com, you can write a custom app, and then if you don't want to keep it there, you can move it over to Rolebase, which is inspired by Salesforce.com. So there are some super serious caveats that the Rolebase site advises. You cannot move Apex. You cannot move any SOQL. So if you're writing queries with SOQL, you can't move any of that stuff. Formula fields, probably not going to work. They may work, they may not. Although the person who wrote this article had a good experience with that. And, components with any custom code will likely not work without modification. the person did say that they were able to move the cases object and a related custom object over into Rolebase, and Rolebase has pretty much the same standard core objects and core functionality in it that Salesforce does, according to this article. I haven't signed up for a Rolebase account, but I find that interesting, and I've seen the UI in some of their screenshots. It looks pretty similar. 2-column layout, drag and drop, the whole deal. Hovers, things like that. So he was able to get the cases object over and a related custom object. Formula fields came over, but the syntax didn't translate correctly, so they were kind of broken. Then he said he got an email from the Rolebase CEO, Matt Robinson, probably not really from Matt, advising that they had proactively fixed his formula, which hadn't translated on the move over from Salesforce. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
they must be like looking out for that kind of thing. And
when you have 2 people doing something,
yeah,
it's easy to
I'm
watch
sure
it.
it's easy if you don't have very many people doing it. Seems interesting. They also note in this article that there's a Microsoft Access import feature that honestly is probably the more appealing way or more appealing feature for people. Like if you're using Salesforce, you're probably not going to want to migrate that stuff to Rolebase. I mean, odds are maybe you will, but probably not. But if you're using Access and you're looking for a really easy way to like, hey, can I like click some buttons and get my Access app or database to just get onto the web somehow, this might be a good option for you.
I find it really interesting because it's like the market will demand, right? The market, if everybody thinks that Salesforce is overpriced and there's a better solution out there, someone will go ahead and build the tool to move you from A to B. You find, that's just the way the industry goes. If there's a demand for something, people will do it. Interesting that, this is obviously Rolebase doing this. So Rolebase going to Rolebase is self-serving, just like Salesforce has tools that'll get you from out of other systems. Like, you want to import out of Act.
The Lotus Notes.
Lotus Notes, right? So because anything that they see as a competitor, they want you to get easily out of. Haven't seen a Salesforce out of Microsoft Dynamics import tool, or out of the box one that I know of. Interesting. I don't know. Interesting.
Interesting enough article, worth talking about for the 5 to 10 minutes that we just spent, and the couple minutes that we spent reading the article.
Moving on.
Moving right along.
So the next one is, this is actually interesting because it's an infographic, which is becoming very popular on the internet.
Very popular. The
sometimes
infographic
I find them,
is the key word of the year or something.
It is. It's sometimes
Everyone's
fun.
got an infographic.
Everybody
Isn't it just a picture?
It is a picture with stats. It's a statty picture.
Isn't it just a chart?
It's a chart with stats.
Kind of a chart. And this was, by the way, the first article that I ever used the new Safari's reader or read it later feature for.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this one is called, this is an infographic off of...
It's on Mashable.
On Mashable.
And it's called The Web and Business Tools Startups Used Most. So this is all about a startup company, essentially the startup toolkit. And,
right.
I thought this would be a good thing for us to talk about, alluding to a blog post that someone's going to write next week. It's on the schedule in the queue for next week, talking about, how a startup could get started up really quickly using cloud computing and other technologies. One of our employees is going to be writing.
I thought he was going to write it on his experience with Chromebook.
Well, it's part of it.
Oh, okay.
It's not just the Chromebook. It's the tools that you use on the Chromebook.
I think maybe we'll push him in the right direction, but I think a real in-depth review of Chromebook would be even more interesting.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about the Chromebook too. We're alluding to his blog post that'll come out next week.
That's where you go to.
But anyway, this is on Mashable, and it's posted. Some company called Best Vendor surveyed 550 startup staffers, mostly in marketing and executive administration positions. Basically asked them...
But the companies were mostly tech, 45%
yeah,
tech.
They asked them, what are your favorite tools for email, accounting, web analytics, CRM, productivity, design, storage, payment processing, operations, and so forth. I thought
pick out some interesting stats. Because I've seen a couple that have already just spun out of my eyes. So give me some ones that you think out of this you think are kind of shocking. Or not shocking.
I wasn't really shocked by a whole lot. The names that I thought would be there at the top are at the top. Company email, Google Apps, wow, 57% of startups use Google Apps. Not that surprising, right? Salesforce, 59% of startups use Salesforce for CRM. Maybe that's a little higher than I thought because of the price point, but so if you're legitimately starting up a company, wouldn't you want to start with the best of breed stuff? And that's Salesforce when you compare it to the other ones that are on this infographic. 59% to the next highest is Sugar at 6%.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a little surprising. The gap, but it wasn't that surprising that Salesforce was number one. It was more the gap in between 1 and 2.
Just like an email, I mean, Google Apps being 57%. If you're a startup and you don't know about Google Apps and it's sort of the cost price,
you should stop being a startup.
Right. But I was actually surprised that 4% for GoDaddy and then 2% for Rackspace. So I'm surprised that people are using Rackspace even though I use it for one of my or 3 of my 7 accounts.
I'm on one of those.
You're on one of those. But then GoDaddy, like I guess they have email.
Well, they do. Well, anytime you host or you buy your domain from GoDaddy, you can then host with GoDaddy, and you get email accounts when you host. So they just have them as their provider. Then you can use whatever, Apple Mail or Outlook or whatever. It's kind of weird. They threw Outlook in there, and right. Outlook doesn't equal any of these other ones that are in there. You
could use Outlook with all of these.
You could use Outlook with all of these, so that was a little interesting.
Strange. It's like saying, if you said Exchange, that would have meant more sense, but I don't think people even understand that concept.
Right.
But, looking at accounting, QuickBooks being...
That didn't surprise me at all.
That didn't surprise me at all, except for FreshBooks being beat out by Xero.
Never heard of Xero.
And I've heard of FreshBooks very well.
Sure.
So
and Great Plains, which is below it. We've heard of both of those.
Yeah, Great Plains is expensive. Like
still,
FreshBooks it's like $19.
I was not surprised by QuickBooks being number one. I would have thought Excel would have been more than 5%, just cause.
Very surprised in note taking that Evernote had 33% and Google Wave's not even on it.
Yeah, that's a mistake by the people because you're really missing out there. We use Google Wave as our note taking app of choice, and it is by far the best.
But interesting that in their collaboration and wiki, Salesforce gets 2%. So they consider Salesforce a collaboration and wiki platform?
Collaboration, not the wiki.
Really?
Chatter.
I use wiki all the... No, I don't.
No. I mean, I've used wikis in the past, and I love them. But I think wikis are going to go by the wayside. I think Google Wave is a wiki killer. But
well, it got killed by everything else.
The thing about wikis is that they have navigational patterns. Like Google Wave is more freeform,
right?
But they have Google Docs kind of as the winner there. In note taking, Evernote, right? We love Evernote. Project management, Basecamp, not surprising at all.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I'm not surprised by really any of this.
MailChimp being had 30% for sales and marketing over Constant Contact, which had 11%.
People love MailChimp. MailChimp's got a really great UI. It's got a really great editor for creating email templates, and as a startup, you can get started up with MailChimp really quickly.
Oh, 2 more. Sorry, 2 more.
2 more that surprised you?
Yeah, 2 more. Wireframing, OmniGraffle brings in 32% over everything else. That's awesome because I love OmniGraffle.
We do love our OmniGraffle.
I think they talked to us for that. And then the last one was social media management. I love that social media management. They have basically Radiant 6 now owned by Salesforce.
Yeah, these really aren't
TweetDeck, Hootsuite. Right, so you have 3 real management software, right, sort of,
and then you 2 got just social media platforms.
Right, so
they mixed the metaphor there, not really.
But interesting. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's a cool infographic. It is
and a couple I'm going to go look at.
Definitely, as a 1-year-old company here, we're still you still consider us a startup. I would still consider ourselves a startup, and. We use some of these tools. We certainly do, right?
We're still doing a podcast. So
still doing a podcast. But we use a lot of these tools. As a matter of fact, if you look at, like, in this top part, like the most popular product categories, the company email, the accounting, the web analytics, CRM, website design, storage backup virtualization, we use 5 out of the 6 top products.
I'm surprised Jungle Disk isn't in that.
Well, in the storage backup virtualization, Dropbox has 39%.
It's great.
Followed by Amazon. I mean,
Amazon isn't Jungle Disk.
Jungle Disk is Rackspace, right? But aren't we on Amazon?
No, we're on
Rackspace.
Because Amazon charges up down, and I think not anymore. But Rackspace doesn't. And Jungle Disk is owned by Rackspace, so it's kind of like one bill.
I've never heard of Mozu or Backblaze.
Backblaze I've heard. But that's sort of
I've heard of Carbonite. I've never heard of Mozu.
And I use...
I've heard of Mozi. Maybe that was supposed to be Mozi.
I think it's Mozi.
But they wrote Mozu.
All right. Moving on.
Moving right along.
So things we got our hands on this week.
Yeah, we got our hands on a Chromebook. I'm trying to find it in the office, but I don't see it. It must be packed away. Was it a Samsung?
Samsung black 13-inch Chromebook.
Was it 13 inches?
Definitely.
It was like 12.
Whatever, 12.2.
It wasn't 11, it wasn't 13.
So, off the top, so this is something, the Chromebook, for those out there who don't know what a Chromebook is, it's Google's foray into building an operating system that is basically a web operating system, but runs on hardware branded by them, and that when you log into the hardware, you're logging into basically Google, and then you're logging into a kind of a version of Chrome, but then underneath it you can run all the applications that can run on the web. And the concept is that it's cheap, right? They're inexpensive. They're $400 to $500. They're supposedly good for businesses and educational institutions, because you can roll them out and also lease them for like $20 a month. And then everything you need is there. You log into it, you get your email, you get your calendar, you get all the apps, you got the web, which everything's in the web apparently. And if you log out, or if it gets crashed, it's all saved, it's all backed up. It's because really nothing is on the computer. It's a big glorified web browser in some ways, but then kind of tightly integrated to the hardware a little bit more. So this came out in Google's I/O conference. We talked about it. We said we definitely got to get one. We love one.
We got our hands on one.
And then we basically said we were going to buy one or two. And so someone in our office went and bought one, brought it in, and what was your reaction?
I didn't like it. That's enough. No, let me give you the reasons why I didn't like it. Because just blanket statement, I didn't like it, doesn't do it justice.
No, it doesn't.
So there were some things about it that were kind of cool. I mean, look, it's a computer that has the web on it, and a majority of the things that I do on a computer are on the web.
That's true.
It's just surprising when you get on a computer that only has the web, how constrained you feel.
I think that would have been an interesting question before you logged in versus after you logged in. If I asked you before you logged in the Chromebook and I said, okay, just tell me, percentage-wise, what percentage of things you do on the web?
I would have said 85 to 90%.
Yeah, and you probably do 25%.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how constrained you feel. There are a couple things about it that I thought were not done well, and it's unfortunate that I don't have like a really great list, because I think in time it'll be a really nice product. But for now, it's slow. Okay? It should boot up faster than it does. It boots up.
Slower,
it's supposed to boot up like real time, but
right.
It boots up.
I think we talked
10, 11 seconds.
13 seconds.
Like, it doesn't wake up too fast.
I know
it should really wake up fast.
There's a boot up, which is the 13 seconds. Then there's a wake up, which I thought wake up
should
would
have
be
been
instant.
like an iPad.
Right.
Instant, hit the button, wake up.
Right.
Hello, I'm here.
It was like 9 seconds.
Yeah, it took a little too
up.
long. But okay, fine.
Right.
The actual experience of you log in,
right.
You don't open it and you're in. You have like an accounts screen where it has
like
any computer. You have your account and you can add an account. So I added, it wasn't my machine, so I added myself. And what it asks you to do is log in using your Google credentials.
Right.
Which I thought, this is great. I'm going to log in to Google, and then when I am on the machine, I'm going to be logged in. This is awesome.
I'll be logged into email.
I'll be logged into everything.
Right.
I'm logging into my Google account. So I log into my Google account with my Arkus account, because we use Google Apps.
We do.
I log into my Google Apps account. I click go. It logs me in. I'm like, awesome, I'm in a browser, and it shows me all these apps I can use. It's like, there's no desktop, there's no minimize button on the browser, so like
you can't minimize.
Already you're sort of like, you're in a box, right?
And you feel a little bit like
you feel like you're boxed in. You're like, okay, I can't go anywhere but wherever that URL bar is going to take me.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, let me go to Gmail. So there's the icon for Gmail. I click it. And where do I land? A login screen.
Yeah.
And I got disappointed.
Well, we are using two-factor.
I tested this. It didn't work with my regular Gmail account either.
It didn't log you in?
No. I was very disappointed.
Oh, really?
Really. So I went back.
Why log in?
I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, why did you make me log in to my Google account when once I'm in, I'm not logged into my Google account. I have to log in again. Like, why'd you do that to me? Why'd you make me do that?
I don't know why you just didn't.
Why'd you make me do that, Google?
Yeah.
And so that was disappointing. The browsing itself was disappointing. I thought it was slow. I mean, to be fair, I have a brand new 15-inch MacBook Pro with as much RAM and the fastest chip you could possibly put in it.
2 seconds. It's a 2 point.
Whatever it is, it's a fast honking machine,
yes,
right?
It is.
So, to be fair, I'm used to that.
Yeah.
And this is the only machine I use. So going from this to that.
Right.
But it felt the speed of like my iPad, and I feel like it should have been faster than that.
Right.
Because it's a machine. It's not a tablet. And then thirdly, the keyboard was a little weird. Like, it didn't have certain keys because you don't need them on the web. Right. There's no like command key or control key or function key or any of that. So it was weird. It felt a little weird typing. Like, I felt like my fingers were a little off, and the trackpad was a little off. Like, just that's sort of a hardware thing.
Well, the trackpad does not work. Like, if you are a Mac user and you have a trackpad, especially with Lion now, which
that's just blown away. I'm on Lion now, by the way, for everyone.
Yeah.
I did my upgrade, and the swiping has changed my life.
Yeah. Once you sort of get into that, then this one it does not work. So I'll give you my quick.
So pitch. That's my quick.
Maybe we'll
I didn't like it because I'm going to play with it more. I played with it again today, my second time. Still unimpressed, but I'm going to continue to play with it and try and get impressed at some point.
2 things. One is the guy who brought it in. We had lots of discussions. We were doing kind of an iPad versus a MacBook Air versus a Chromebook discussion. You know, where does it really fit? You know, price range. It's more of an iPad, but it's supposed to be more of a laptop. Blah blah blah. So I dared him yesterday as we walked out of the office. I said, I dare you to come in tomorrow and just use the Chromebook. He was within 30 minutes. He was done. He
didn't last till 10:30 this morning.
He couldn't do it because he couldn't use the...
What did he need to use this morning?
Force.com API.
The Force.com IDE. He needed the IDE to push something to production. And so we were like, you got to use the IDE for that, and he couldn't do it.
So hopefully next week I hope his article is much more about, you know, or his blog post is much more about a honest review of the Chromebook, not so much anything else. I'd really love honest review.
Honest review would be good. Not in theory, you could start a business and give everybody a Chromebook.
If you were listening now, I would say don't do that blog
post. You know who you could give a Chromebook? The receptionist. The receptionist would do okay with a Chromebook.
I honestly, the use cases for the Chromebook I think are so slim now that I've used one. I think that price-wise it's got to come down. We'll talk about it next week, because next week he's going to
We'll have a blog post to really review. So those are our quick first-hand impressions of a Chromebook.
Totally biased, whatever.
I don't think that was biased.
A little bit.
I wanted to love it.
Yeah, that's true. I wanted to love it. I wanted to like it enough. I
wanted to like it enough that I was going to buy one. Now I'm not going to buy one.
It's all about price. If it were $50,
I'd buy one.
It'd be great. I'd buy 4 and put them in my house.
But $50, that's like, you know.
Right. That's going out money.
Yeah.
All right,
that's a Season of the Wire on DVD.
Let's go. Last topic, we have some like we're going to do every podcast going up.
I think Dreamforce 11 has to be mentioned every week.
Basically every week going up. So we have a couple things to announce.
Let's do it.
So first thing is up is your thing to announce. Go ahead and announce it.
I am speaking at a session. So if you'd like to hear me speak live, if this isn't enough for you, if you haven't gotten your Justin fix by listening to the podcast.
Can I just say I have gotten my Justin fix?
I know you have.
I'm fixed.
It's been years. You're broken.
I'm completely fixed.
I've broken you.
Yes.
If you want to get your fix, you can show up for my session. It's taking place on the Friday of Dreamforce at 10 a.m. I don't know where the room is just yet.
Okay.
But you can find it on the Agenda Builder. Yep. It is called...
If I could use the Agenda Builder,
if you could use it, but most people can.
Yep.
Log in. You could search for permission sets, and you'll find it.
Good.
The full title of the session is called I Love Permission Sets, a Deep Dive into Profiles 2.0. So we're going to be talking a lot about what are permission sets in their current form, how to go about rolling out and using permission sets in your real world scenarios as an administrator.
Great.
We're going to be hearing from a customer who's already rolled them out and is in the pilot and is already using them.
Nice.
And we're going to be hearing from the product managers to take us into a deeper dive into the features and functionality that is permission sets in its current state, and then a roadmap. So we're going to finish the session with a roadmap that gives us, like, you know, you can't do these couple of things now, but these are the things that are absolutely coming in.
So you know what? That's a great thing. But you know what you're going to need to wear.
What are you going to need to wear
to that session?
Well, I'm going to be wearing something nice.
You're going to need to wear your Safe Harbor t-shirt.
Oh, it's back.
It's back. So we've talked a little bit about the contest. We're starting to get some tweets and whatever saying there's a contest happening.
In the Arkus t-shirt contest group on the Dreamforce chatter org. I don't even know what to call it anymore. We got a post from Peter Jankel. Shout out to Peter. Asking us if we'll be using the group again this year for creating a new contest. And the answer, Peter, is absolutely yes.
Actually, the answer is no.
What?
We're not creating a new contest.
It's the same contest.
It's the same contest.
Nobody said, are we going to be using this group again?
This
and the answer is absolutely yes.
But not for a new contest. Same contest.
The group is called Arkus T-Shirt Contest Group.
So here's the details of the contest. The rules will be coming out in the next couple podcasts.
I should probably change, because the rules are actually in the group.
Okay, well, go look it up. But we will update it. We only have one extra thing in. But basically, it's a contest. We're going to have T-shirts printed, which we had them printed last year. We're going to have a new set printed this year, a little bit updated design, but they were well received.
People loved them.
People loved them, and it's basically an Arkus logo on the front, and on the back it's a Safe Harbor like thing, and it says "Have you seen me?"
Right,
which
with
is
some Easter eggs in it.
It's a joke about safe harbors, which you see a ton of Dreamforce. Whatever.
The safe harbor statement will be used at my session called "I Love Permission Sets: A Deep Dive into Profiles 2.0."
You didn't get enough out of the first time. All right, 10 o'clock on Friday morning. So anyway, the contest is coming again. We will do it again, and you'll follow the group, get into the group, so the rules will be there. We will talk about it on the podcast. You will need to listen to the podcast.
Just like last year.
Just like last year. But this year, the only difference will be that we actually have a booth.
Right.
And so to collect this T-shirt,
you won't have to run around and find us. You can just come to the booth, and we'll give you a
T-shirt. Last year, the pound fail on this last year was that we were a roving band of
we were a group
brethren.
in the cloud. We had a booth in the cloud.
Right. We had a cloud
and
booth.
It didn't work.
And it did not work.
Booths in the cloud, they don't work.
So we
Booths
were able to
run on Chromebooks.
We were able to beat, and at the end of the day, what we did is we ended up mailing them out.
Yeah, we did.
So I hope if you got your ones, but we mailed them out because people did the things we asked them to do, but we were just very hard to find because we were meeting with prospects and clients, which is what we're there for. But this year
I'm there for the people.
We have a manned booth, and we will be going there. We will be at the booth. One of us or both of us, probably one of us at a time, but we'll be at the booth. Someone else will also be there, and they will understand the secrets of the NIM. And you will be able to come up and get your podcast T-shirt or your T-shirt.
We're going to do some cool stuff at the booth also with the podcast.
Right. So we might be doing a session, a podcast. We also might be doing some other stuff. Anyway, that's just the teaser. Talk about that in more podcasts, so you got to stay in. So stay 53 through 60. You got to start to listen to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If you're listening now, just keep on listening.
Yeah. And the last piece of news before we get to our CloudFocus app pick of the week, rolls right off the tongue, is the Dreamforce infographic, which you were shown in because it was
on it.
You were on it because it was like the top.
Who to follow on Twitter, basically.
It was the most. It was Dreamforce 11.
Dreamforce 11
tweeties.
Tweeters. People who tweet.
I call you a tweetie.
A tweeter.
Tweeter. And
like a speaker.
It's from Marketo, which is a company that puts out.
They're a big sponsor.
Big sponsor.
They do the marketing automation with email.
And it's now gone.
It's gone. It was gone almost immediately.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't. I didn't think I'd need one. The internet is written in pen, after all, and I apparently not. But
it's written in pen, but everybody has whiteout.
Yeah, well, maybe Google has a cached version of it, but Salesforce tweeted it out. They said, "Hey, check this out." Erica Kuhl, who runs the Salesforce MVP, shot it out there, so I saw it. I retweeted it. You mentioned it on one of your tweets. It was making its way through the Twitterverse, and all of a sudden, it was gone. It was an interesting infographic put out by Marketo on their blog. It showed sort of the history of Dreamforce. It went through all of the past Dreamforces, where they were, how many people had attended, like what was the big thing, the big announcement. It was very interesting to go back to 2003 and see 800 people attended. It was at some hotel in San Francisco. And see throughout the years, the App Exchange was launched, Apex was launched, Chatter was launched, Stevie Wonder, Bill Clinton, the level of speaker and the level of performer went up throughout all the years. It was
until
very
this
cool.
year.
till this year, Metallica. But
Oh,
unless
Metallica.
Metallica's listening, we love you.
Oh, we do.
It was a nice little infographic. I wonder why they had to take it down. My face was on it. Maybe
It is
someone
still
complained
cached.
that their face was on it.
It is still cached. No,
Is it
because it's
cached?
Twitter. You can't complain that. You can't complain. It's cached in Google. I'm trying to pick it up.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, I found it.
There you go. You found it.
Okay,
Maybe
well,
we should
it's on
save
info-
that and put it up.
I am going to. I will tweet it somewhere. But it's an info.
Follow Jason M. Atwood on Twitter.
There you go. Infographic-pedia.
There's going to be a whole, apparently there already is a whole encyclopedia for infographics.
Done. I saved it to my desktop. It lives forever.
It lives forever. There you go.
And
the
my
internet
desktop-
is written in pen.
My desktop just synced with the cloud, and I'm done.
And it's making some noise.
All right. Well, that's my.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. And let's go to the CloudFocus app pick of the week.
Let's do it.
You can go. Whoa.
Yeah,
That's your
baby.
pick? That's your pick?
Yeah, baby.
Wow, that is a lame pick.
I
All
had
right, go
something
for it.
else on there.
Yeah. But.
And it was also sort of a lame pick. So
This
I
is
replaced
yours-
my lame pick with a lame pick.
This is a lamer pick.
And I gotta check if it came down just yet, because I didn't even download it yet. I just saw that it was available. It's not even there.
So you haven't even tested it.
No, I
This is one of
This is unproven, untested.
This is what I call it.
Don't really know all the features just yet. Just know it's available. GoToMeeting. For the last 8 months, you and I have been arguing back and forth over
Yes.
what our preference is. WebEx versus GoToMeeting.
Yes.
And some of them, some of the points that I make are valid. Other points that you make are valid. One of the big points that you make is WebEx has an awesome iPhone and iPad universal app.
Yes, universal.
And GoToMeeting only had an iPad app.
Yes.
They did not have an iPhone app.
So now it has a universal
Now
app.
it has a universal app. It is
it
available
universal?
on the iPhone. It is universal.
Nice.
GoToMeeting version 4.8 is universal on the iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad.
And it's free, of course.
Free, of course. Need a GoToMeeting account, obviously, if you want to create your own stuff. But if you have a GoToMeeting that you need to attend, you can join.
Will it dial you in?
Don't know. Haven't tested it.
Okay, well, that's a good
So
pick.
I was hoping to have it downloaded on, because I just noticed it today.
Yeah.
Because they just put out an update.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I just got it today, and I was on the iPad. I was going through updating everything, and I saw, GoTo updated. Let me see what that's all about. Now available for iPhone. So I went to go grab it off of the iCloud, and it didn't come down yet.
Didn't come down.
So that's more of an Apple fail than anything. But GoToMeeting for the iPhone now available.
Nice.
I'll be playing with it because I love me some GoToMeeting, and you love you some WebEx.
I do.
And
love
now you
GoToMeeting
can't
as
use
well.
that whole WebEx has a mobile app argument
yeah,
on me
right.
until we see what kind of features.
Can I still use the WebEx has multiple video conferencing built in?
GoTo might have that on the.
Okay,
on
we'll
there.
see.
I don't know.
So my pick is I'm just gonna pick a Force.com Labs pick I got in. No, I'm just
No, you're not.
No,
That's
no.
something I would do.
No, yeah, it's something.
I actually just went to the website of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
here.
so I actually saw this where did this come out? It's either tweeted or somewhere, and
Does this exist? First of all,
it's not out yet.
okay.
but I've
so
seen
you're
it-
picking an app that doesn't even exist.
But I've
yet.
seen the video of it, and it looks nice.
Okay.
I think we're gonna like this. So I know nothing about it other than I saw the video, and it's coming to the App Exchange 2 soon. It's called Kona Search.
I like where you're going.
Yeah, we, as for those of you who are listeners for the last 53 episodes, know that in our past lives at the company that shall not be named, we were in search. We actually did
We were search guys.
projects. Right, we rolled out search, internet search for 30 to 40,000 people.
Millions and millions of documents.
Millions of documents. That's not a small deal. Anyway, so we became pretty big on search. So search to us is kind of important, and not just Google search,
Yeah.
but like faceted navigation and relevancy and different types.
Dials to turn.
Yeah, and
we like that.
The search within Salesforce, in some ways, is really good because it does something that very few searches do, which is that it breaks down the search results into the type of things that you have been searching for.
The objects.
The objects. So if you
It has
search
some
for,
pretty high-end features. The search engine in Salesforce. I mean the filter within search results
Yep.
is very, very hot. I
That's
mean, that
nice.
is some really high-end
I feel
stuff.
like very few people use that.
It's too bad because that is a really high-end feature.
Yeah, I kind of wish like the search results came back as enhanced lists but that's just me. Anywho, let's go back. So it is nice, but it doesn't really connect them. So if you get back an account, you can look at, there can be 3 or 4 fields about the account, but that's it. Kona Search does the connection. So you search the Kona Search, which is a sidebar, and again, I've seen the YouTube video on this last week, and when you get back the results, not only does it give you the results, normal results across your data set, but then we'll show you more data about the results. So across the side, in the results set, it's bigger, right? They're more like rows, and then they can have bunches of different information. So if you search for Bob Boberson, you'd see Bob Boberson, but then you'd also see the account that he's related to, maybe the account, the account number. You could see other information that rolls up from his connections in the results. And you also have some built-in stuff, I think, more like name stuff. Like you search for Bob, you get back Robert. I think you could also look at like opportunity data, so it could pull back in opportunity
Looks like
data
you could federate this out
to other places.
It says on their homepage, how about information from Outlook or SharePoint or from industry websites?
Yeah, so it did pull in the information from Outlook. I think was in the demo. Anyway, I looked at it and I thought, this looks very cool. I haven't demoed it other than I asked for them to put me on the demo. It looks really nice as an application. It's called Kona Search by a company called Kona Data Search. Pricing and timing and all that, my guess is before Dreamforce, so look for them at Dreamforce. The one thing I also saw that I liked that was interesting was they had a sidebar, a floating sidebar that was a search as well, and that would pick up where you were, and you could kind of search other stuff. So if I'm on a contact, I could say, show me some other related search stuff, and it would kind of pop out from the side, and you could click it, and then it would then bring you to a search screen. So kind of like nice integration.
We love search.
Yeah,
we love navigation via search.
And this is one of the ones that, listen, Salesforce, you're out there purchasing stuff, purchase this. Like this, clearly, you could take some of the concepts that they've picked up and bring it right into search, and it would be a very happy place. Again, the search within Salesforce is really good. I love the
It's gotten a lot better.
The new type ahead stuff is good.
Over the last 1.5 to 2 years, the search has been improved a lot by the product managers over there at Salesforce, because
I remember meeting with them when we worked at the company.
I remember meeting with them as well.
There's all sorts of stuff about it that's...
There are things about search that are like, oh, okay, you can't do that because
you have over 100,000 records, and we batch them in 100,000 records.
Yeah, like some really interesting back-endy kind of bits about Salesforce,
which maybe leads to its own podcast and or maybe blog post. But anyway, if you're looking to look at the blog post for this week, which I haven't written yet, I'm up.
If you're looking to see it, you have to jump into Jason's head.
You're going to have to go to blog.arkusinc.com sometime this week, and because we're doing this on Tuesday, which is a little
probably
early.
Just have it in your RSS reader.
You should, and then it will show up.
Or if you like us on Facebook, it'll
Facebook.com/ArkusInc.
Or if you follow us on Twitter,
Twitter.com/ArkusInc.
Or if you follow me on Twitter,
Justin, Twitter.com/JustEdelstein.
Or Jason on Twitter.
Or Twitter.com/JasonMatwood.
Then it will flow right into your feed.
And of course, the best thing to do if you're an iTunes subscriber is subscribe on iTunes, and then you get the podcast whenever we put. So this week, if you actually thought that we were going to do it on Thursday, well, we psyched out. We did it early.
Yeah, you get it early.
And if you're definitely getting ready for Dreamforce, we're going to be putting out podcasts all the time.
Yeah.
And so you definitely want to subscribe on iTunes.
We might do one on a Saturday.
I think last week we did it on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Before the Dreamforce. This Dreamforce starts on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we'll be up there.
Anyway, do one on that Monday.
Anyway, that is it. And until next week,
one other thing.
Oh,
we have to beg.
Beg what?
If you're gonna subscribe in iTunes,
leave
us a review. We love them.
Yes,
we love reviews, especially when they're good.
Yes, the good reviews. We there are no other options. When you fill out the form,
we'll literally delete it.
There's 5 stars, and that's it. So
we can't delete it, so you know.
Yeah. So leave us a great review. We'd really appreciate it. Until next time, enjoy those cloudy days.